Hello, Johannes here. I finished another sketchbook at the end of November, and this one lasted almost a year. So as usual, I'm gonna show it to you page after page, and I also apologize for my accent, which is not getting any better. Sorry. These are characters for a comic I wanted to do for a while, but I never done it actually. I only did a couple of pages. That's from the book The Turing Test. That page was made on a different sketchbook, but the pages were too thin and I couldn't work on that, so I only made this page. I cut it off and glued it here. That's an illustration for a book I'm trying to publish. I've only got one answer yet, and it wasn't a positive one. Fitzcraner. An old illustration I had to make a second time for the book I was talking about, because some of the pictures I did were a bit old and they didn't look like my style anymore. That's from the audio, The Silver Turk. Once again, yes, there's a lot of Doctor Who stuff. Charlie Pollard. Another illustration I had to do again, and another one. I'm kind of proud of this one. Vanishing Point I laughed like an idiot because Fitz is wounded and he can't walk and everyone needs to make a quick getaway, and the best solution 8 finds is just grabbing the guy and carrying him bridal style through the corridors, and I was laughing like an idiot. Another illustration I had to redo. Another one. I think it's the last one, I'm not sure. No, here's another one. And another one, yeah, I was wrong. The first version had her in front of the wall, and I thought it would be better if we could see the audience when she's playing. That's a character from Interference, and that's all the generations of that character. That's really weird. I really liked it. That is actually in a different book. This thing is in a different book I'm writing in case the first one is never published, which I think is gonna happen. Drawing in the Park. That was in April. Some kids arrived to ask me questions while I was making this one. That's pages about the audio Cardroya, and I made a lot of them this year too, but they aren't in the same place in the sketchbook. Here's another one. That's a character from my book, Bibliothécaire. librarian, and they are covered in books. And someone's like, "Hey, what's under this book on your head?" "Oh, this book." And they remove it, and it's just a smaller book. Cardroya again, and that's when. Don't get me wrong, the audio is really, really fun up to that point, but when 8 gets split into 3 different versions of himself, it really gets amazing. That's the cliffhanger of part 1, actually. That Pokemon was my favorite one when I was a kid. I thought it was really sad when later abilities were included and it gained poison point. And I was like, "Ah, you can't pet it, it's too dangerous." So recently I drew this. You just need to wear thick gloves and all is well. Space whales. I went to an aerial display this year and it was really great. I've never been to one. Lots of cool planes. A lot of things to see. Caradroya again. And that's all for Caradroya in this sketchbook, because on one hand I love making these little comics about it, but it's also very time consuming. And here we have requests from when I reached I think it was 3,000 followers. Yeah, so requests, including someone who said, "Hey, draw Dagrius possessing a different doctor," and I was like, "Okay, no, I have to draw 4 because he's terrifying." I like 4, but he really scares me, honestly. Another page from Cardroya because someone requested one. More requests. That's from The City of the Dead, which is a book I really, really enjoyed. It was amazing. More requests again. That's probably one of the stupidest things I drew in this sketchbook. It was also very funny to do. And here you can see 13 had been announced, and I instantly started to draw her. That was little minutes after the announcement. Someone was like, "Hey, please draw her with Charlie Pollard," and I was like, "Oh god, this is the best thing ever." They kind of look a little bit similar. When some people draw 13, I look at that and I'm like, "Is that Charlie?" Of course, she meets Fitz also in one of my drawings, but he's like, "Whoa, she still remembers me? How can that be?" And of course this one was a bit successful on Twitter and on Tumblr, I think. There was a typo and I had to change it, but I was so excited I didn't notice a typo right away. Someone asked me if 8 and 12 had things in common, so they are playing music together. Requests, and we are almost at the end of the requests. That was the last one. That was from Year of the Intelligent Tigers, a book I really loved too. It was really amazing. So far, it's my favorite historical adventure, but that might change, I don't know, but so far it is. That was a video of thank yous to Peter Capaldi leaving. Don't get me wrong, I'm really excited for 13, but I'm gonna miss 12 as well. That is a comic I made during the summer. And I made it out of a bit of frustration about how the Dark Eyes saga ended, because I really liked one theme in it, and it was the idea that, not really the idea, the question asked about what's after the end of everything. Is there another beginning? Is there nothing? If we can understand the answer, can it give us hope, or will it just depress us? And they never really gave any answer to that question. They just asked it at the beginning, and I made a little coda to that story where 8 and Liv go back to the TARDIS, and he's understandably a bit depressed. The TARDIS receives a message, and everything starts shaking. So when he solves the problem, there's a sphere floating in midair, and apparently it's a void ship, and it contains a disk, a small disk. And the language is non-linear, and the TARDIS has a very hard time reading what it says, so there are several options for every word, and they don't really make sentences, they don't really connect. And the message more or less says, this is a disk from a different universe, happening sometime after our universe ended, and they sent the message to this TARDIS because they detected it 3 times at the end of our universe. So that was 3 events in Dark Eyes. And they're like, okay, now we are gonna show you what happens after your universe ended. And it's an explosion of things he can't really understand, because there you can see planets, you can see things that looks like atoms or maybe plants. We don't really know what all that means. And so apparently something in that universe happened too, because the message ends with something like, please send us hope. And it just ends like that, and he just laughs and laughs and laughs, because after all, that wasn't such an important question, because yeah, there is something after our universe, but they have that same question as well. That's a commission. And I made a TP this year. That's and there's a lottery, and that was the first prize for that lottery. I drew some SCPs that year because they made a contest, but it hasn't been judged yet. I'm fairly sure I'm not gonna win in any categories, because my art is traditional and they clearly prefer digital, but whatever. Commission. Another commission. I replayed Zelda recently. Drawing in the park. Another commission. Drawing in the park again. And that's Inktober. That year I took a list which was characters of the forest. That's another TP price for the lottery. Inktober. That's tarot cards based on the City of the Dead, and they all have the doctors on them because I thought it would be fun. Inktober again. The end of Inktober. That's that's the Chimes of Midnight. That's Edward Grove trying to have tea with 8, who's not very happy about all that. And if you've listened to the audio, you know what happens in this scene, and it's, I don't want my tea, thank you, and you hear a noise of something breaking on the floor, and Edward Grove is like, you've broken my best china, and he's so upset about it. That was made for a friend who really likes cats and six. Another commission, because someone wanted to see more cards. That's for the second book I'm trying to do. I really want to draw all the incarnation of the 11, the villain of, well, one of the villains of Doom Coalition, because one, I really loved that character. Seriously, it's one of the best villains we've had in audios. And second, we don't really know what they look like, apart from the 11, the 8, and the 9. The other ones, we have no idea what they look like, so I wanted to try it, but I've only made a sketch. I haven't made the picture so far. That's the main character of the book I'm writing. Yeah, named Cabaletta Alto. That's a short comic about something that happened a while ago to me. More illustrations for that thing I'm writing. And that's the last page I feel, so there's some things after that, because I glued drawings there. And I made this comic about the terrible, terrible audio army of death, and honestly, every time I re-listen to it, I don't re-listen to it very often. I re-listen to it like twice, I think, and it is terrible every time, but it's terrible in so bad it's good sort of way. Who thought it was a good idea to name your villain the Bone Lord? I can't say that without laughing. The Bone Lord. And yeah, that was the last page, so I was like, I no idea what to draw, so here's Fitz. And he's like, you haven't drawn me a lot in this sketchbook. And I'm like, hey, I've drawn you like 10 times. And he's like, not enough. So yeah, that's my sketchbook for last year.